100,000 warriors, 300,000 horses, 10,000 elite guards who have trained since childhood to kill anyone who gets within arm's reach of one man. And on the other side, 60 modern operators standing in a frozen plain in what is now Uzbekistan in the winter of 1220, staring at the largest military encampment the medieval world has ever seen. Their mission is not to kill Genghis Khan. That would be the easy part. Their mission is to walk into the heart of the Mongol war machine, put hands on the most dangerous conqueror in human history, and drag him out alive. The math is not in their favor. It never was. But math has never stopped Delta Force before. Now think about this for a second. In the year 1220, there is no satellite imagery, no electricity, no gunpowder west of China. The fastest form of communication is a man on a horse. The sharpest weapon on Earth is a composite bow that takes 3 seconds to draw and fire. And these 60 soldiers carry technology that would look like sorcery to every human being alive on the planet. Suppressed rifles that kill without sound, goggles that turn night into day, drones the size of a hummingbird that can hover above a tent and count the people inside. They carry the future in their packs, and they carry something even more dangerous than technology. They carry knowledge. They know how Genghis Khan lives, thinks, eats, sleeps, and moves, because men who haven't been born yet will write it all down. The question is whether any of that is enough. To understand why capturing Genghis Khan is the most difficult snatch operation ever conceived, you need to understand what the Mongol Empire looked like at its peak in 1220. Temujin, born around 1162 on the banks of the Onon River in what is now Mongolia, had spent 30 years unifying the warring tribes of the steppe. By 1206, he was declared Genghis Khan, universal ruler, at a grand assembly called a Kurultai. By 1215, he had sacked Beijing. By 1219, he turned west. His target was the Khwarezmian Empire, a sprawling Islamic dynasty that stretched from modern Iran to Afghanistan to Uzbekistan, ruled by Shah Muhammad II, who commanded an army of 400,000 men. Within 2 years, that empire ceased to exist. Bukhara fell in February 1220. Samarkand, a city of 200,000 people, defended by a garrison of 110,000 soldiers, fell in 5 days. 5 days. The Mongol army did not just defeat enemies, it erased them. At the center of this machine sits one man. Genghis Khan travels with his imperial court in a moving city of felt tents, gurs, spread across the steppe in concentric rings. The outermost ring is cavalry. Scouts on horseback patrol a perimeter of 15 kilometers in every direction. Nothing moves on the steppe without the Mongols knowing. The second ring is the general army, tens of thousands of warriors organized in units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000, a decimal system so efficient that modern militaries still study it. The third ring, the innermost, is the Kheshig, and the Kheshig is the problem. Established around 1204, the Kheshig is Genghis Khan's personal guard, 10,000 men. They are not soldiers. They are something closer to a religious order built around one man's survival. Selected as children from the families of loyal commanders, they train for years before they are allowed within sight of the Khan. They rotate in shifts, day guards, night guards, quiver bearers, sword bearers. They sleep in a ring around the imperial jur. No one enters without their permission. No one leaves without their knowledge. The penalty for approaching the Khan's tent uninvited is death, not arrest, not questioning, death. And this is not a written law, gathering dust in a library. This is the Yasa, Genghis Khan's personal code, enforced on the spot, without appeal, by men who have killed since they were 14 years old. The Khan does not have a security detail. He has a human fortress. History has a footnote here that matters. In July 1944, a German officer named Klaus von Stauffenberg placed a bomb 6 feet from Adolf Hitler. It detonated. Hitler survived. After that, the Führer's security became the tightest any human being had ever experienced. Until you look at Genghis Khan's, which was tighter by default 700 years earlier, without a single piece of modern technology. No one ever got close to the Khan with a weapon. No one even tried. The Mongol system made it unthinkable. So how do 60 modern soldiers even begin? 24 of them are Delta Force, the U.S. Army's Tier 1 Special Mission Unit, trained in hostage rescue, close quarters battle, and direct action against hardened targets. Each operator carries a suppressed HK-416 with subsonic 5. 56 rounds, no muzzle flash visible to the naked eye, no sound audible beyond 40 meters. Sidearms are suppressed Glock 19s. Night vision is the PVS-31A binocular system. The world turns into a green and silver theater where every heat signature glows like a small star. Thermal optics are FLIR handheld units that can detect a human body at 800 meters through felt, wood, or hide. Communications run on the ANPRC-152, encrypted frequency hopping, range of 30 kilometers with a clear line of sight. For breaching, they carry shaped charges and flashbang grenades. For intelligence, they have 3 RQ-11 Raven drones with a flight ceiling of 500 feet and a range of 10 kilometers, plus 6 Black Hornet nano drones, each one weighing 33 grams, silent at 20 meters, equipped with a thermal camera that fits in the palm of a hand. 24 more are Army Rangers, 75th Ranger Regiment, trained in direct action and perimeter operations. Their job is suppression, diversion, and security on the exfil route. The remaining 12 are technical specialists from the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, operating without aircraft, repurposed as signals intelligence operators, drone pilots, and tactical planners. The team carries 48 hours of supplies, water, rations, batteries, ammunition, limited, no resupply, no air support, no extraction helicopter. If they are still inside that camp after 48 hours, they are on their own. And on the steppe, on their own means dead. But they have something no army in 1220 could dream of. They have the future. The secret history of the Mongols, written around 1240 by an anonymous Mongol author, is the only primary source from inside the empire that documents Genghis Khan's daily life. Juvaini, the Persian historian, wrote his Tarikh-i-Jahangushe in the 1250s, describing the inner workings of the Mongol court in extraordinary detail. Rashid al-Din compiled his Jami al-Tawarikh around 1307, cross-referencing Chinese, Mongol, and Persian sources to build the most complete picture of the Khan's habits that exists. Jack Weatherford's modern analysis synthesized all of this. The team has read every word. They know where the Khan sleeps. They know the rotation schedule of the Kheshig. They know the layout of the gear, the placement of the hearth, the position of the throne, the side of the tent where the Khan rests. They know things about Genghis Khan that his own generals did not know. And they know one thing that changes everything. Here's what you need to understand about Genghis Khan's intelligence network. Before the Mongols invaded Khwarezmia, the Khan sent a caravan of 450 merchants to the city of Otrar. They carried gold, silk, silver, and musk, a trade mission, but also a scouting operation. The governor of Otrar, a man named Inalchuk, accused them of espionage and executed them all. That massacre was the reason Genghis Khan invaded. But the deeper truth is this: merchants were the Khan's eyes and ears. He used traders the way modern intelligence agencies use case officers. They traveled freely across borders, entered cities, observed defenses, counted soldiers, mapped roads, and reported back. Genghis Khan did not just tolerate merchants. He worshipped them. The Yasa, his personal law code, declared merchants sacrosanct. Anyone who harmed a trader under Mongol protection faced execution. This was not generosity. It was policy. Merchants were untouchable because they were useful. And here is the crack. Juvayni records that during active campaigns, merchants arrived at the Mongol camp regularly, sometimes daily, and were escorted directly into the Khan's presence. No weapons search, no interrogation. The Kheshig inspected their goods but did not strip them. Felt robes in the winter of Central Asia are thick. They hide a lot. The Yasa made merchants invisible as threats. In the mind of every Mongol guard, a merchant was as dangerous as a priest. The modern team knows this because historians figured it out centuries later. No one in 1220 would ever see a group of Persian traders walking into the Khan's Jir as a kill team in disguise. That blind spot, built into the legal code of the empire itself, is the door. The operation begins 72 hours before the assault. Day 1. 8. Delta operators leave the main element and move southeast, toward the ruins of Samarkand. The city has already fallen. Its markets are destroyed, but trade caravans still move through the region. Merchants fleeing west, opportunists heading east to sell goods to the Mongol army. The 8 operators change clothes. Gore-Tex and plate carriers go into buried caches. They dress in Persian merchant robes, heavy wool and silk, layered against the cold. Underneath, each man carries a suppressed Glock 19 in a leather harness built to look like a money belt. 2 of them carry disassembled Black Hornet drones inside bolts of Chinese silk. 1 carries a shaped breaching charge disguised as a block of compressed tea. Their cover story is rehearsed in Farsi. They are traders from Nishapur, carrying silk, spices, and silver, heading toward the Mongol camp to sell. Day 2. 600 hours. The 8 merchants approach the outer ring of the Mongol camp from the southwest. The temperature is -15 degrees Celsius. The wind cuts through wool at this hour. Their breath freezes in clouds. The smell hits them first: rendered animal fat, horse dung, smoke from 10,000 fires. The camp stretches across the plain for 3 kilometers in every direction. 300,000 horses stand in clusters, their breath rising in white columns. The sound is constant, hooves shifting on frozen ground, the metallic ring of a blacksmith somewhere in the dark, a dog barking. Mongol scouts intercept them at 700 meters. 2 riders on shaggy steppe ponies, bows drawn. The lead operator, who speaks passable Farsi and enough Turkic to fake a trade pigeon, presents their goods. The scouts inspect the silk. They touch the tea. They smell the spices. They don't touch the men. The Yasa protects them. The scouts escort the caravan inward. At 8:40, the 8 operators pass the second ring. Soldiers everywhere, cooking fires. Jirs packed so tightly that the paths between them are barely wide enough for a horse. Children run between tents. Women carry water in leather skins. This is not a military camp. It is a city. A moving, breathing, living city of felt and fire. The operators walk through it with their heads down, counting. Counting Jirs, counting guards, counting steps. At 1100 they reach the Kheshig perimeter, the innermost ring. 100 meters of open ground between the last row of ordinary Jirs and the cluster of larger decorated tents at the center. The Khan's Jir is unmistakable, larger than the others, with a carved wooden doorframe and felt walls dyed a deep blue. A Kheshig captain meets them. He does not smile. He inspects the goods again. He asks questions in Mongol. The lead operator answers in broken Turkic and gestures at the silk. The captain lets them pass. It works. At 11:30, the 8 operators are inside the Kheshig perimeter. They are told to wait. The Khan will receive them after the midday meal. They sit on the frozen ground outside a supply jir, surrounded by the most elite warriors of the 13th century, and they wait. Each man's heart rate is controlled at 70 beats per minute. Training. One of them unfurls a bolt of silk and pretends to examine it. Inside the silk, a Black Hornet drone is already assembled. At 1400, a Kheshig guard leads them toward the Imperial Gyr. The carved door opens. The interior is lit by 12 oil lamps burning animal fat. The air is thick, warm, heavy with the smell of mutton grease, fermented mare's milk, and smoke. Wolf pelts cover the floor. A low wooden throne sits at the northern end, and on it sits a man in his late 50s, broad-shouldered, with reddish hair turning grey and pale eyes that Persian chroniclers described as cat-like. Genghis Khan looks at them and says nothing. The lead operator bows, places a bolt of silk on the ground, speaks in Turkic. The Khan listens. He asks a question about the road south. The operator answers. The Khan nods. He gestures for more goods to be brought forward. 48 hours. That is the window. The clock starts now. At 2200, the camp sleeps. The Kheshig night shift takes over. 3,000 guards rotating in a ring around the Imperial compound. The 8 operators are housed in a guest gyr, 120 meters from the Khan's tent. One of them deploys a Black Hornet through a gap in the felt wall. The drone rises silently into the frozen air, minus 18 degrees now, and hovers at 40 meters. Its thermal camera paints the camp below in white and blue. The Imperial Gyr glows with body heat. The drone counts 6 figures inside. The Khan, 4 attendants. On guard at the door. At 2230, the drone pilot transmits coordinates to the main element via PRC-152. 12 kilometers to the northwest, the remaining 52 operators receive the signal. Rangers begin moving southeast in 4-man fire teams, spread across a 2-kilometer front, using a dry riverbed for concealment. Delta assault teams move in 2 columns. Thermal scans ahead. The steppe is flat, empty. The Mongol scouts patrol in wide arcs. But the modern team moves between patrol cycles. Pattern of life analysis based on 6 hours of drone observation. The Mongols ride in predictable intervals. 22 minutes between passes on the southwest corridor. The team uses every second. At Arrow 100, the Rangers reach their diversion positions, 4 points on the camp's western edge, spaced 500 meters apart. Each fire team carries 6 flashbang grenades and 2 smoke charges. Their job is noise, light, confusion. Enough chaos to pull the Kheshig's attention outward for 90 seconds. 90 seconds is all Delta needs. At 0247, a complication. One of the Rangers trips a Mongol dog line. A series of war dogs chained between gyrs on the perimeter. 3 mastiffs begin barking, then 10, then 50. The sound ripples through the camp like a wave. Mongol soldiers stir. Fires flicker. A Kheshig patrol rides toward the western edge. The ranger team leader makes a call. Hold position. Do not engage. The dogs calm after 4 minutes. But the camp is now at a heightened state. Guards who were dozing are standing. The margin just got thinner. 36 hours of battery left in the Raven drones. 14 hours of battery in the Black Hornets. The clock does not stop. At 0300, the assault begins. Rangers detonate flashbangs on the western perimeter. 4 simultaneous explosions of light and sound, 170 decibels, 7 million candela each. In a world that has never heard anything louder than thunder, the effect is absolute. Horses scream. 300,000 horses scream at once, a sound so vast it shakes the ground. Mongol warriors stumble from their gyrs, bows drawn, looking for an enemy they cannot see. The western Kheshig detachment, 2,000 men, pivots toward the noise. Riders gallop into the darkness. Inside the Kheshig perimeter, the 8 operators move. They cross the 120 meters to the Imperial Gyr in 19 seconds. The guard at the door turns toward the explosions. He hesitates. 1 second. A suppressed Glock round enters the base of his skull. No sound. He drops. The bolt cycles with a soft click. Metal on metal, quieter than a whispered word. 2 operators breach the door. Inside, the oil lamps still burn. 6 figures. 4 attendants scramble awake. 2 operators control them. Zip ties, gags. 7 seconds. The man on the throne is sitting upright. He is already awake. Genghis Khan does not panic. His hand is on a blade. The lead operator levels his HK-416, red dot on the Khan's chest. He speaks one word in Mongol, a word the team rehearsed for weeks: surrender. The Khan does not move. Then he smiles. And this is where everything goes wrong. The man on the throne is not Genghis Khan. He is the right age, the right build, the reddish hair, the pale eyes. But the scar on the left hand, described in Rashid al-Din's chronicle as a mark from a childhood arrow wound, is on the wrong hand. The operators stare at the scar. Right hand, not left. The intelligence said left. This is a double. The secret history of the Mongols never mentions a body double. Juvaini never mentions one. Rashid al-Din mentions a rumor, one line, buried in a footnote, that during the Khwarezmian campaign, the Khan occasionally used a trusted cousin to sleep in the imperial jar while he rested elsewhere. Modern historians dismissed it. A footnote, a rumor, probably propaganda. It wasn't propaganda. The real Genghis Khan is 200 meters away, in a smaller, unmarked jar with no decorations, no carved door, no blue felt. Just an old man under wolf pelts in a tent that looks like every other tent in the camp. 11 minutes. That is how long it takes the drone pilot to redirect the last Black Hornet, 4 minutes of battery remaining, toward the cluster of smaller jars behind the Imperial compound. Thermal shows a single figure moving fast, rising, walking. The figure exits the small jar and speaks to a guard. The guard runs. In the world of 1220, this is the alarm. Not a siren, not a klaxon. A man running. The team has a choice. 4 minutes of drone coverage left. 1,400 Kheshig still inside the perimeter. The diversion on the west side is fading. Mongol commanders are smart. They are already turning back. The Rangers are pulling out. The exfil route, 12 kilometers northwest through open steppe, is still clear, but it won't be for long. Mongol cavalry covers ground at 40 kilometers per hour. The team moves at 6 on foot. Abort, or push deeper. The team leader, a Delta Master Sergeant on his 9th deployment, makes the call in 3 seconds. Abort. Secure the double. Move. They leave the Imperial jar at 0308. The double is dragged between 2 operators, alive, gagged, struggling. They cross the Kheshig perimeter heading north. In the darkness, suppressed rifles drop 2 sentries who turn at the wrong moment. The soft click of bolts cycling, bodies falling on frozen earth. No one else sees. At 0314, they clear the outer camp. Open steppe. 12 kilometers of flat, frozen nothing between them and the rally point. Behind them, the Mongol camp is waking up. Horns begin to sound. Deep, low, carved from yak horn, a sound that carries for 5 kilometers in cold air. Torches flare, riders mount. At 0331, the first Mongol patrol spots them. 6 riders, 200 meters east, closing fast. A Ranger fire team engages with suppressed M4s. 4 riders drop. 2 turn and ride back toward the camp. They will bring more. At 0348, the team reaches the dry riverbed. 3 kilometers covered, 9 to go. Behind them, the sound of hooves. Not 6 riders now, but 600. The ground trembles. In the NVGs, the world is green and silver, and behind the team, a line of white dots stretches across the horizon. Cavalry. Hundreds of them. Spreading in a crescent. The Mongol encirclement tactic. The same maneuver that destroyed the Khwarezmian army. The same maneuver that will destroy armies for the next 50 years. The Rangers set their final ambush at the riverbed. Claymore mines, directional charges that spray 700 steel balls in a 60-degree arc. 2 of them angled to cover a 90-meter kill zone. The cavalry enters at full gallop. The detonation is a wall of sound and steel. Horses collapse, riders tumble. The pursuit stalls for 7 minutes. 7 minutes that cost the Mongols 40 men and buy the team a kilometer. At 04:19, the team reaches the rally point. 53 operators alive, 3 wounded, arrow strikes, the composite bow still lethal at 150 meters, even in darkness. The double is alive, gagged. His pale eyes scan the operators with something that is not fear. They did not capture Genghis Khan. They captured his shadow, and they proved something that no one in 1220 believed was possible, that the innermost ring could be breached, that the Kheshig could be beaten, that the invincible could be touched. Stay with me. This is where it gets interesting. What happens next? In the real timeline, Genghis Khan continued his campaign. He destroyed Merv, a city of over 400,000 people, in a single week. He swept through Afghanistan, Persia, and the Caucasus. He died in 1227, likely from injuries sustained during a fall from his horse while campaigning against the Western Sia. His empire eventually stretched from Korea to Hungary, the largest contiguous land empire in human history. But if 60 modern soldiers had breached the Kheshig perimeter, even unsuccessfully, the psychological damage would have been catastrophic. Genghis Khan's power rested on a belief. The belief that he was protected by Tengri, the eternal blue sky, that he was chosen, that no force on earth could reach him. The Kheshig existed not just to protect his body, but to protect that myth. And myths, once cracked, do not heal. The Khan would have purged the Kheshig. He always did after failures, after Jamukha's betrayal, after the early defeats against the Naimans. He would have executed officers, replaced commanders, tightened security until the camp became a prison. And a conqueror who is afraid, a conqueror who looks over his shoulder, is a conqueror who slows down. Slowing down, in the Mongol system, meant death. The empire moved because it had to. Stop moving, and the tribes fracture. Stop conquering, and the generals start thinking about succession. 60 men could not capture Genghis Khan, but 60 men, with the right technology and the right intelligence, could reach the room where he was supposed to be sleeping. And that, in a world built on the illusion of invincibility, might have been enough to change everything. So here is the question. What if the team had known about the double? What if they had 60 more minutes of drone battery? What if they had split the assault? 4 operators to the main jur, 4 to every unmarked tent within 200 meters. Would you have aborted, or pushed deeper into a camp of 100,000 warriors to grab one man? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you think 60 soldiers was too many, or not enough, tell me the number. Tell me the team. Tell me the plan. Because somewhere in the winter steppe of 1220, under a sky full of stars that no electric light has ever dimmed, the most dangerous man who ever lived is sleeping in an unmarked tent. And the door is open. Like and subscribe if you want to see the next mission. The target has already been chosen. The door is always open. The question is whether you walk through it.